Hello boys and girls, I hope you've brushed your teeth, you've washed your face and you're ready for your bedtime story. So tonight's story is The Golden Goose from Favourite Fables, and I will just start the story now. Once upon a time there were 3 brothers. The youngest son was given the name of Dumpling and was laughed at by his family and everybody else in the town. One day the eldest son went into the forest to cut some wood. His mother gave him a cake and a bottle of wine, and off he went, whistling cheerfully. But he had no sooner set to work than a little old man appeared. "I am so hungry and thirsty. May I have some wine and cake?" he asked. But the eldest son shook his head. "Be off with you," he said gruffly. "I will share my meal with no one." But it seemed the old man was going to get his revenge, for with the very next swing of the axe it landed on the eldest son's foot. How he yelled! The next day the second son decided to try his luck, and once again his mother gave him cake and wine. The little old man approached the second son and asked to share his meal, but the second son also refused. He too was cut by the next swing of the axe. The next day Dumpling set off for the forest to cut some wood. He was given only bread and water, but he was happy to share what he had with the little man. "You are a good boy," said the man, "and if you cut down that tree you will get your reward." Dumpling did as he was bid, and was astonished to find a goose covered entirely with golden feathers. "I will go to the city and seek my fortune," Dumpling decided. "This beautiful goose will give me luck." As he strolled along the lane, he passed a girl. She gasped to see such a beautiful creature and stretched out her hand to stroke it. But imagine her dismay when she found that she could not take her hand away. The goose was a magic goose, and whoever laid a finger on her thick golden feathers soon found themselves stuck fast. Before many hours had passed, Dumpling had collected 2 more inquisitive girls and a parson, all stuck fast one behind the other. As they stumbled across the fields, they met the bishop. "My dear parson," he cried, "have you taken leave of your senses?" And he reached out and caught the parson's sleeve. Now he too was stuck fast, and it wasn't long before they were joined by a ploughman and a shepherd. After a time they reached the city, and there in the palace lived the king and his daughter. She had never been known to smile, and the king had promised her hand in marriage to the first person who was able to make her laugh. Well, when she saw the 3 girls, the parson, the bishop, the ploughman, and the poor shepherd all falling over one another behind Dumpling's golden goose, she burst into peals of laughter. The king came running, and Dumpling lost no time in asking permission to marry the princess. Thought the king to himself, "I do not want this raggle-taggle boy to marry my daughter. I must set him an impossible task to perform, and when he fails I will be able to refuse him." And so the king told Dumpling that before the marriage could take place, he would first have to find a man who could drink a whole cellarful of wine. Dumpling scratched his head, and then he remembered the old man in the forest. But when he returned to the glade, the old man was not there. Instead, he found a short man with a miserable face. "Oh my, I am so terribly thirsty," he moaned. "I've already drunk a barrel of wine, but I feel as if I could drain a lake dry." "You are just the man I am looking for," cried Dumpling, and he led the man to the king's cellar. The fat man rubbed his hands with glee. "This is a sight for sore eyes," the short man declared, and soon he had emptied every bottle, keg, cask, and barrel. The king was more vexed than ever. He decided to set another task, and this time he made it even harder. "Find me a man who can eat a whole mountain of bread," he ordered, well satisfied that this would prove impossible for Dumpling. But Dumpling just went straight to the forest, and there he discovered a tall, thin man sitting on a log. "I've just had 4 ovenfuls of bread for my supper, but it has barely taken the edge of my appetite," he complained. Dumpling pulled out his sleeve. "I know a place where you can eat your fill." When he arrived back at the palace, the cooks set to work and kneaded their dough for a day and a night. When the bread was piled high, it filled the entire courtyard. The tall, thin man ate and ate and ate, and within hours there was nothing left of the mountain of bread, except one very fat man. Then the king set one last impossible quest. "Find me a ship that can sail on both land and sea. Only then can you marry my daughter," he declared. This time Dumpling found the little old man waiting for him in the forest. "I have not forgotten your kindness," he said. "Now look behind you." Then, with a great rustling of canvas, the most magnificent ship sailed into the glade. When the king saw the ship sailing over the fields toward his palace, he knew he would have to give in, and so Dumpling and the princess were married. They lived happily ever after, but back at home Dumpling's 2 brothers grew bitter and miserable, and all for the lack of a good, generous heart. Alright, boys and girls, that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!